Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So we're just going to be going over the changes coming in the next 3.1.5 patch, based on from sort of a combination of the developers devlog, which is obviously available on Reddit. I'll put a link in the description, and of course from their stream on Thursday they did, where they talked about in more detail some of the changes and also announced a few more things that are changing. Obviously, I think the current schedule is for this patch to be released on Thursday. So this video is going to come out on Saturday? Saturday probably, in which case it'll be Thursday. So not too long to wait for the upcoming changes. So really, what's changing? Well, the first thing they kind of talked about was commander experience in terms of that's been quite a significant change, which received quite a lot of anger from the community. And I can understand why, and I kind of agree. I think they really overdid the pricing a lot on that. They've not really said anything about that they're going to be changing it, but they've said that they have been particularly reading all the comments about it, particularly on the Reddit and stuff like that, on the posts, making sure that they fully gather all the information, and they are going to be looking at it in the future. So it's not going to be changing immediately, certainly not going to be changing in the next patch. It's going to be at least a couple of weeks before anything changes. I suspect it's going to probably be looked at more in more detail once Ambiorix has come out, the new Barbarian Commander. So yeah, you're going to have quite a few weeks to wait to see if that's going to be changing. They also are rebalancing slightly the silver economy they talked about, particularly some of the higher tiers. Some of the units aren't really making quite as much silver as others, and that's kind of not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a bit more balanced. So hopefully that means that you're not going to be losing quite so much silver in higher tier games for most units, I guess. I don't know exactly what the plan is in detail, but I guess it's going to be roughly along the lines of things like probably javelins like this have got more of a chance of surviving in a battle, so therefore making more silver than, say, infantry units like this are always going to be involved in combat. What else is changing? I mean, there's been a minor things like some optimization improvements of terrain, which is supposed to make FPS run a bit more smoother, which is obviously a good thing. Things like that are always nice to be having. I'm sure if you noticed, if you remember, some of my older videos struggled a little bit on frame rate. I mean, we're not exactly doing staggeringly well here. Obviously trying to record and show gameplay at the same time, running around 40. So it's kind of interesting to see what we run at post-patch, see if that makes much of a difference. And then other changes are matchmaking. So this is kind of an important one, I think. So there's kind of a lot of calls, and I agree, from the community to put a hard cap in at tier 8. Because, for those of you who aren't yet at tier 8, obviously you won't know this, but basically tier 8s get flung in quite a lot into tier 10 matchmaking. And there's quite a big discrepancy, quite a big change between a tier 8 unit and a tier 10 unit. And so such tier 10s kind of always have sort of a crappy end of matchmaking, because they're always stuck up against units that are quite a lot better than them. And a lot of people wanted a hard cap to be introduced so that tier 8s could basically never meet tier 10s, so tier 8s would only meet like their maximum of tier 9s. And they're not going to be doing that. They've said that they don't really want to be doing that. In part, there's not enough players, I think, is the main reason. While it'd be fine at sort of peak times, like I'm recording this at 6 o'clock in England on a Friday, there's probably enough players now to do that. But if you're doing it, on a Tuesday at 12 at midday, then there aren't enough players really to be doing that. So the matchmaking needs a wider spread to be able to get games to be found. So that's something they're going to be changing. They're also going to try and make it a better diversity. So rather than having 8 archers on your team, they're going to try and spread that out a bit more, which is obviously a good thing. And they're going to try and do, they seem to be suggesting they're going to be trying to have a look at ping-based matchmaking. So those people with lower pings are more likely to be grouped in a game together, and people with higher pings in a game together. If you're more likely to be on the North American server, you're more likely to get pinged to the North American relay rather than thrown onto the EU server. So that seems sensible. Seems just a basic improvement. Hopefully that if everyone's got crap ping, it's not such of a hindrance as if everyone's in the same boat. Well, that's my understanding of the change anyway. What else is changing? Okay, so a big one, Boudica is changing quite significantly. So for those of you who play Boudica, why didn't I pick Boudica for the replay? So Boudica's got a few interesting abilities, but it's really designed to be a war dog commander, but is kind of a substitute archer commander for some people. But the way it's changing, obviously now we're getting Ambiorix very shortly introduced into the game as the Barbarian Archer Commander. Things like Ambush no longer need to give range bonuses, so that's changing. So basically Ambush is going to lose its range bonus. It's going to lose its can't activate when enemies are close bonus, but instead it's going to be giving extra buffs to War Dogs. The main change is when Ambush is activated on the dog handlers, that means dogs will be unaffected by strikes. And that is a big change. Probably needs some clarification in some ways. So let me pick, to see if I can find someone around here as a good example. Try and pick these spearmen. So they probably have a strike. They do. They have slam, which is a strike. Really effective against dogs. If you use it against dogs, you cause a really good amount of damage because dogs are always really up close into you as a unit. So when you activate a strike, it causes quite a lot of damage. So yes, that's kind of a really good one. But whether things like commander's abilities, like, I don't know if this is a Leonidas, yes it is. So Shield Bash is also a strike, but it's a commander ability strike. And it's really one of Hoplite's only real good defences against War Dogs. So if War Dogs can avoid that as well, then that's going to make War Dogs suddenly quite a lot more powerful, or certainly more focused against Spearmen and Pikemen. So we'll have to see how that is. But they've added the flag modifier to Ambush that if your commanders get engaged in combat, then Ambush will detoggle. So that means that if your dogs are engaged and you want to be continuing to avoid strikes, your handlers need to be out of combat. So you can't have handlers in combat and dogs engaged. So it's a buff, but it's a bit of a selective buff. It's a dog-only buff, you know, or commander. So you can't have both at once, if that makes sense. So what else have we got changing? Let me scroll down my list with a nice Word document. Minor things. Yeah, I noticed this was just a really minor change onto one of the buffs. Spar is no longer going to get the shield armor buff, but it's changing to a charge deflect stat, which obviously makes sense. You know, you have like Spar is one of the main things on like Falksmen and things like that. Well, Falksmen don't even have shields, so why are they getting a buff to shield armor? It was a bit silly. So yeah, certainly a good change. Nice little bonus. What else we go? Quite a lot of premium units added in at this patch. You know, it's obviously, I do like premium units, and obviously they're obviously important to help pay for the game and all that sort of thing. And so far, I don't feel the whole they've been too unbalanced, sort of if we're excluding elements anyway. So yeah, we've got 4 new premium units: a Tier 7 Barbarian Spearman, the Cimbri Spear Warriors, Theoria Swordsman, a Greek sword unit, which is kind of cool. I guess the Greeks haven't really got much in the way of sword units. Some Belgi archers, which is part of Ambiorix's tribe, so that kind of makes sense as a unit that's sort of specific to Ambiorix, which is kind of cool. And there's some Barbarian Tier 8 premium archers as well, so quite a lot brought in there. It's fine. Hopefully they just don't. Hopefully developers don't get too caught into doing too many premium units. Obviously, because obviously we really want to be focusing more on sort of in-game content, not too much on premium units. And yeah, that's about it really. There's a few things that got asked at the end of the developer stream, just pop questions that people put up in the quiz, which you may find interesting. Things like, is there a plan to reduce the cap speed? Short answer, no, not really. Which is kind of a shame, because I kind of wanted them to do that. I'm one of those people who kind of feels that the capping is just a little bit too fast. Just slow down by a third. I think that would be lovely. But apparently not. They've not got a plan to do that anyway. Then they mentioned about the Tier 8 hard cap, which I mentioned earlier in the matchmaking. No, there's no plan to do that. And someone asked what happened to Spartacus. Apparently they're still working on him. So he's not abandoned, but he's just sort of on hold, or just sort of going a bit slow for the time being. I think they said they wanted to do Ambiorix because they wanted a Barbarian Archer command, obviously because the Barbarians already have an Archer tech tree, and they felt that since the Barbarian tribes tended not to use Archers that much in reality, they were kind of a bit stuck for what to use, and apparently Ambiorix, because of his kind of hit and run tactics he used on the Romans, kind of fitted that build kind of nicely, and I kind of agree with that. It kind of makes sense as a sensible choice. And finally, will we see Horse Archers again? Possibly, I think is the answer to that. Maybe one day in the distant future, but how they'll be balanced is kind of something that's a bit hard. So yeah, that's kind of sums up the main changes. I think. Also, cross regions are still being worked on. That's something I'm kind of really passionate to see brought into the game. Particularly as a streamer, I've kind of stream or have worked with quite a few people from sort of the Asia server to the North American server. I'd really like to see cross parties being brought in. That would be really nice. So let's just wait to see how we get on with the rest of this game then. This is one of my subscribers, Bros, who's submitted a replay. Oh dear, apologies for the cough. I've really got a bad one today. And yeah, with his Roman Tier 7 cavalry. So let's see how he's getting on. How's he been getting on so far? A good amount of damage, 2,000 damage since we've been talking. Ooh, some nice doggy dogs. I'd certainly give them a charge. And a couple of javelins as well. Oh no, he routed. Oh, that's very unfortunate, isn't it? But he charges in with his second unit, which probably saves it a little bit. And the rest of his cavalry coming in. Should be able to finish off their dogs. Looks like they've got this battle. Well, 50 points, still all to play for, really. So I've had a terrible cough over this last week, and I just can't record a whole thing without coughing. It's just not possible. Friendly spearmen coming in at tier 8. Should be a cool. Why they've still got their raised shields going on, I don't know. Fighting the shade. It would be better to turn it off. There's no ranged currently shooting at them. I'm just looking now at some of the victories that are some of the abilities that are included on these new premium units. I did actually write some of them down. Nothing that strikes me as super different, really. The Barbarian Falxmen are going to be kind of interesting. Tier 7 Barbarian Spearmen, it's not something we really see in the game at the moment. We're going to have a Barbaric Phalanx. Knockback damage to anyone who approaches, you know, same as normal Phalanx. Heavy Thrust, similar. Portents of Victory is just kind of like a support ability that increases morale and melee damage of nearby allies. Well, that's just kind of like this one on whatever it is on the Barbarian Cavalry. It's just Roman Cavalry, which gives a similar sort of buff. That's not really anything special. The Greek Swordsman, again, nothing particularly special. They do have something called Pathfinding, which is kind of cool. Just reduces the effects of negative terrain penalties, so kind of good if you're fighting in forests and things. If you come against Barbarian Infantry, anything like that. And again, everything else is just sort of like buffs to allied units and really sort of support abilities, which is kind of cool, but generally aren't anything too overpowered or anything like that. So, how's Bros getting on? I also noticed we've got Nurut in the battle as well, from Screaming fame. Elephant defending base. He's turning into quite a long battle, isn't it? How's he getting on with his score? He's hit over 3,000. He's not doing too badly. He's beating off those other legionary cavalry. Has he got his upgraded spear on? Nope, not working for me. Oh yeah, I'm clicking the wrong bit. That's fine. No, he's not got the upgraded equipment. He's still only got the 180 melee damage, which is kind of a bit of a limiting factor. Anyway, he's still got 2 elephants defeating the Melkart, the tier 7 premium elephant there. Which is kind of surprising because Melkart's normally really good against elephants. I don't know if you watched my Melkart premium unit review video, but if not, well worth checking out because Melkart, who's still one alive over here I think, gets Gore, which is that really unique premium unit ability, which is actually really powerful against other elephants because it's an instant hitting ability, it's a strike, so it does a full hit, plus you get that 40% melee weapon and penetration, means it just does a vast amount of damage when you use it against other elephants. If you have 3 against 1, you just insta-kill the enemy elephant. It's pretty impressive, so I'm surprised he wasn't able to beat these Caesar elephants. So, Bro's hunting in the forest with his cavalry, seeing if he can find anything. He's still got quite a few units left alive. I think it looks like the enemy only have these elephants left. Let's have a little bit of a fast forward, should we? Just to the end of this game. Looks like the enemy elephants were trying to get into the cap. I don't think it's going to really work for them though. They're not going to be able to cap that quickly, and they are certainly going to be running out of time. I've always noticed that the javelins on elephants don't actually do any damage. They look cool, but it's kind of a pointless ability, isn't it, if they don't actually do any damage. And there we go. He wins on the timeout. Well, that was a good game. Well done, Bros. Thank you for submitting the replay. Just so for the record, I know you probably know this already, but on the replay point of view, obviously I probably get submitted far more than I can normally actually use. So I just kind of pick one as and when I need them. Obviously, we'll be going back to Battle of the Week I've just not had much of a chance to record one, so that's kind of why that's all gone a bit like that. Occasionally, when I just needed a bit of a background replay, that was very helpful to be able to have your guys' replays available, just to pick one that I like the look of and use it like that. So, thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully you found this sort of a bit of a useful roundup of the main changes upcoming on the Thursday's 3.1.5 patch. As I say, yeah, plan for Thursday should be the case. Obviously, I guess if that changes, I'm sure the event devs will announce it on Twitter and Reddit, etc, etc. But yes, it seems like a reasonable patch. A few too many premium units, but other than that, generally good changes, I'd say, apart from the fact that they're not reducing commander prices, which are still too expensive. So, thanks for watching, guys. Please give the video a like and let me know what you think about the upcoming patch in the comments down below, and subscribe to the channel for lots more Total War Arena content. Thanks, guys, and I shall see you all on the next episode.